And there's the big elephant in the room, like people for many years have been doing things in paper, and it's very hard for people to do things digitally, and making sure that there is no and there's no opportunity for people to sort of go off system and then therefore break the data integrity or the process integrity or the compliance of the whole process.
Wow. Well, there are so many different levels of complexity to unravel there. I want to address it from the project management, which is your forte, in terms of what you're doing. Is each one of those systems the way you're looking at it as a project that are sub projects under a grand master project plan? How is that being managed from a project management approach?
So we've got different portfolios, and the portfolios are there to address a certain business objective, should we say, a certain business case. And under those portfolios, there are different projects that we manage, and the projects could span one system or several systems, depending on what it is. But we do it in a very much of a process point of view. So, we're trying to do A, and we're trying to get to D, for example. What systems does that process touch? And that sometimes it could be one system, for example, so you start and end in the same system. Sometimes it could span multiple systems. So we've got, for example, a project at the moment which looks at our contract to order processing. That spans 3 systems, for example, because obviously you put the order in a CRM system, then you have a workflow that processes that order, and then eventually it ends up in an ERP system where you do the delivery and the fulfillment of that particular order. So that's a little bit more complex. In other cases, there's, for example, a portfolio that we have around optimizing the way that we request information from the customers in order to fulfill their delivery or to fulfill their order, should we say. That is all in one system, which is the CRM system. So that it's a little bit more straightforward. I wouldn't say it's totally straightforward because they could have a lot of complexity within it, but it is within one system. And from a project management point of view, there's always a program manager and a sponsor that manages the portfolio side of things. And then we will have project managers for the projects, not necessarily a one-to-one, because some projects are bigger, some projects are smaller. So we could have a particular project managers managing several projects or several work streams in some cases, if they're not big enough to be called a project. Also, we have a European setup. So within a UK operations, we've got also the support from a European team. So if there are systems that are central, for example, or systems that are global, then we also need the request, or we need the support of European teams to be able to make those changes.
Okay, so that's interesting. I was a little bit enamored of the systems aspect of it, but it sounds like, and when I think about it intuitively, it makes much more sense to look at the process that you're trying to achieve rather than trying to optimize a particular system. And so the idea, what I think I heard you say was you focus on the portfolio, which is focused on a business result, which may span any number of different systems rather than being system specific. It's process focused.
Correct. Yeah. Everything is value and process focused. So what are we trying to achieve? Are we trying to achieve, for example, part of one of our portfolios is trying to achieve a quicker order to cash process. So we look at how can we do that? Do we need to optimize the process itself? Do we need to optimize the system? Do we need to introduce automation? Do we need to introduce AI-driven technology, for example? But obviously, we need to do that in a compliant way. So we need to look at all of the different aspects of it, and not just the system. We need to look at the process itself, the operational process, the compliance side of things. It could be some regulations around billing, how we bill our customers on a regular basis. And Konica Minolta business is quite complex in itself, because obviously we do a little bit like utilities billing. We bill print, we bill usage, etc. So obviously we need to have that visibility as well from a customer point of view